Kia ora, boys and girls. Well, I'm in a different place. I've run away to sea with Finn. And our story is about the sea today. You may know the movie Moana. Moana means ocean. But there she is, Moana, our heroine. Moana was a little girl who lived with a family on the island of Motunui. Her home was a beautiful place, surrounded by a coral reef and shimmering blue seas. Sounds great. Her father, Tui, was chief of the island. Moana was destined to be chief too one day. Chief Tui cared very much about his people and made sure they were happy and safe. He didn't allow anyone to sail out beyond the coral reef, where it might be dangerous. After all, Motunui had everything the villagers needed. Who would ever want to leave? Yahoo! Moana's grandmother, I like this lady, Grandma Tala, liked to tell ancient tales to the children in the village. The other toddlers would become frightened, but Moana loved the stories. In the beginning, Grandma Tala said, there was only ocean until an island appeared. The mother island, Te Fiti. Her heart had the power to create life itself, and she shared it with the world. Grandma explained that some people wanted to take the heart and keep its power for themselves. One day, a demi-god called Maui succeeded. He used his magical fishhook to steal the heart, and Te Fiti began to crumble. As Maui made off, he was confronted by a lava monster called Taka. The pair fought and the heart was dropped. Oh no, lost in the sea. Some of the toddlers were scared with this story, but Moana was amazed. There she is. Not long afterwards, Moana was playing on the beach. Her favorite place, my favorite place too. Finn's favorite place too. She stepped out into the water, and amazingly the water rose up around her, creating a path out to sea, just like Moses. Moana followed the path and spotted a small spiral stone in the water. She reached out and grasped it. Just then Chief Tui came looking for his daughter. The sea quickly whisked Moana back to shore. The toddler dropped the spiral stone in the sand as her father and her mother, Sina, took her back to the village. Moana would spend every day by the sea if she could, dreaming the adventures of the waves. But her parents taught her that she belonged in the village with her people. The years passed. This is all the things she did. Catching fish, dancing, collecting coconuts. The years passed and Moana was very happy growing up in Motunui. She learned from the people around her and in return helped them in any way she could. When Moana was 16, Tui took her to a large pile of stones atop the island's highest mountain. One day you will add your stone to this mountain, he said, and raise our whole mountain higher. Tui told Moana how important it was for her to stay in the village and lead her people. Moana nodded at her father, even though she still felt drawn to the sea. She wanted to make him proud. Later that day, Grandma Tala found Moana and led her along a rocky path to the furthest point of the island to a secret cave. What's in there? Moana asked. The answer, Grandma replied, to the question you keep asking yourself. Who are you meant to be? There's Grandma Tala. Moana climbed inside the cave and gasped in amazement at what she saw. The huge cave was filled with sailing boats. Moana began beating a big drum on one of the boats, and something magical happened. In her mind, she could see her people's history. They had been great voyagers. Look for those. Can you see them? Moana leapt out of the cave with excitement. She asked her grandma why their people had stopped voyaging. Grandma Tala explained that after Maui took the heart of Te Fiti, a darkness spread across the seas. The ancient chiefs had stopped Moana's people from sailing in order to keep them safe. Grandma Tala said the darkness was starting, though, to infect their island too. Their home was in danger unless someone found Maui and took him to restore the heart of Te Fiti. Grandma took a spiral stone from a necklace. It was that one Moana found in the sea when she was a little girl. It was the heart of Te Fiti. The ocean chose you, Grandma told Moana. Now that Moana knew the truth, she wanted to help save the island. She ran to the village leaders. "We are voyagers," she cried. "We can voyage again." But Chief Tui quickly pulled Moana aside. He didn't believe the spiral stone was the heart of Te Fiti, and he wanted his people to stay safe on the island. Tui threw the spiral stone to the ground. As Moana picked it up, she spotted something that made her stop in her tracks. It was Grandma Tala's walking stick. But where was Grandma Tala? Something wasn't right. Moana raced to Grandma Tala's home and found her very sick in bed. She rushed to her side. "Go," Grandma said in a weak voice. "You must. The ocean chose you." "I cannot leave you," protested Moana. "There's nowhere you could go that I won't be with you," Grandma replied. She gave Moana the necklace to hold the heart of Te Fiti, and with the last of her strength she whispered, "Go." Moana knew what she had to do. She packed some supplies, took a small boat from the secret cave, and set sail. In the night sky she saw stars in the shape of the fishhook Maui had created. That Maui carried. Moana tried her best to head in that direction. But a storm rose up. Uh-oh. Wham! A giant wave crashed in the boat, and everything turned black. Moana opened her eyes as the sea splashed her face. She'd been washed up on the beach of a strange island. As she looked around, she spotted tiny marks in the shape of a giant fishhook carved into a nearby rock, and some giant footprints in the sand. "This must be Maui's island," realized Moana in amazement. Could the sea have brought her here? Suddenly, Maui appeared. He is rather big, isn't he? Moana summoned all her courage and told him that he must go with her to restore the heart of Te Fiti. But Maui refused. He said he had taken the heart for the humans, just as he brought them the sun, fire, and the tides. All he wanted was to get his magical fishhook back, which he had lost in his battle with Te Kā all those years ago. Maui boasted to Moana about all the amazing feats he had achieved. But as he talked, he trapped Moana inside a cave. Maui had been stuck on this island without his fishhook, which had the power to help him shapeshift into different animals. Now he finally had a way to leave. He went back down to the beach and boarded Moana's boat and set sail. He's a bit naughty, this Maui. But Moana wasn't ready to give up on her mission. She found her way out of the cave and dived into the water. Amazingly, the sea pushed her through the water and lifted her up onto the boat. Maui was surprised to see her. "You'll put back the heart," Moana told Maui in her bravest voice, holding the spiral stone heart towards him. But Maui still refused to help. Just then, spears started landing around Moana and Maui. They were being attacked by kakamora, tiny bandits dressed in coconut armor. Here's these funny little guys. Moana battered them with her oar and was able to keep them from stealing the heart. Finally, the pair managed to escape from kakamora and sail away. Funny little guys. After that, Maui finally agreed to go with Moana to Te Fiti. but they needed to fetch his fishhook first. Maui was certain the monster Tamatoa had his hook. "Teach me to sail," said Moana. Maui refused at first, but then the sea knocked him over with a poison dart. He couldn't move. As he lay on the deck, Maui was forced to teach Moana all he knew. He explained that what he did was called wayfinding, not sailing. It meant using the stars and the sun and the moon and the waves and the currents to help you get where you wanted to go. Moana slowly but surely figured out how it worked. Tamatoa's lair was in Lalotai, the realm of monsters. By next morning, the pair reached the tall rocky island that was the entrance to the realm. They climbed upwards until they reached a dark, deep opening. Lalotai was beneath the sea. Moana and Maui had to pass all the way down through the water to reach it. They each took a deep breath and jumped into a pitch-black hole. Maui landed safely, but Moana was caught by the tongue of a huge monster. Luckily, an even bigger monster ate the first monster, and Moana was dropped to the floor unharmed. After that, Moana couldn't find Maui anywhere. She saw a cave and bravely went inside alone. She spotted the fishhook amongst a huge pile of shiny gold objects. Just then the ground rose up to reveal Tamatoa. As the monster grasped Moana in its huge claw, Maui leapt onto the scene and grabbed his hook. Maui tried to shapeshift, but his powers weren't working properly. Tamatoa dropped Moana and started to attack Maui. Thinking quickly, Moana took the stone from her necklace and held it out to Tamatoa. The monster, who couldn't resist new treasures, chased Moana as she led him away from Maui. As she ran, she tripped and dropped the stone. Moana called out to Maui, "We're going to go!" "But the heart," cried Maui. "I can have it, I've got this one." "He can have it, I've got this one," said Moana. She opened her hand to reveal the real heart of Te Fiti. She'd used an ordinary trick to trick that old Tamatoa. He's a bit crabby because he's a crab. Before the monster had a chance to attack again, a geyser exploded beneath Moana and Maui, launching them safely through the top of the realm. They made it out alive. Back on the boat, Moana helped Maui practice shape-shifting until he could do it easily again. As the pair sailed towards Te Fiti, Maui told Moana that he was born human, but his parents didn't want him. The gods gave him the fishhook, and he used it to give islands, fire, and tides to the humans. But it was never enough for them. "That's why you stole the heart," Moana said. She realized that Maui had taken the heart of Te Fiti for his people to prove his worth. Just as the pair spotted Te Fiti in the distance, Te Kā appeared. Maui had to get past the lava monster. He turned into a huge hawk and took to the skies, clutching the heart in his claw. But Maui was no match for Te Kā, who quickly knocked him out of the sky. Moana helped Maui get back on the boat, and the pair headed further towards Te Fiti. But they watched in horror as Te Kā brought a fist of fire down towards the boat. At the very last moment, Maui raised his hook to block Te Kā's fearsome blow. Boom! A shockwave rippled across the sea and created a huge tidal wave. Maui and Moana's boat was lifted up and swept far away from the lava monster's grasp. Friends were now a long way from Te Fiti, and their boat was in bad shape. Moana wanted to head straight back to battle Te Kā again, but then gasped as she saw that Te Kā's blow had left a huge crack in Maui's fishhook. Without my hook, I am nothing, Maui said. Maui was mad at Moana. He angrily told her that the ocean shouldn't have chosen her for this task. He dropped the heart of Te Whiti on the deck and used all the power he could muster to shapeshift into a hawk. Moana tried to convince him to stay, but he refused. He flew off into the sky. Moana was heartbroken. She looked out across the water and spoke to the sea with tears in her eyes. You chose the wrong person, she said. You'll have to choose somebody else now. Then she held the heart of Te Whiti out to the sea. After a moment, the water took it from her and back below the waves. Moana was stunned. She had thought the sea might force her to keep the heart and carry on, but now she had nothing. Moana felt so alone. Just then she looked into the water and saw a magnificent glowing manta ray swimming beneath her boat. Phosphorescence. Suddenly she heard Grandma Tala's voice and looked up to see her grandma's spirit sitting next to her. Moana was so happy. Tala told Moana that she would stay by her side whether she decided to go home or carry on. As they talked, hundreds of ghostly canoes emerged around the boat. They were Moana's ancestors. Grandma Tala asked, Do you know who you are? Moana realized that this task had always been her destiny, and she had to complete it. She dived over the side of the boat and swam deeper and deeper into the sea. The heart of Te Whiti glowed brightly, and Moana retrieved it from the seabed. Moana repaired her boat as well as she could, and then set on course towards Te Whiti once again, with determination in her face. Te Kā was still determined to stop Moana and hurled huge masses of molten lava at her. The monster raised its fists, but just before it struck Moana, Maui appeared out of nowhere to take the blow. He had returned! Yay! Even though his hook was broken, Maui bravely fought Te Kā, allowing Moana to sail onwards. When Moana reached Te Whiti, she gasped. The island wasn't there. It was just an empty crater, and there was no goddess to be seen. There was nowhere to put back the heart. But Moana didn't panic. She took a deep breath and looked at Te Kā, towering over Maui. Suddenly she noticed a glowing lava spiral on the monster's chest. Moana looked at the spiral stone in her hand. She knew what to do. She stepped into the sea and the waters parted. Moses again, creating a huge pathway between Moana and Te Kā. Moana! Maui cried out, What are you doing? Te Kā swooped down and came to stop in front of Moana. The monster no longer seemed frightening. In fact, Moana thought she could see a sadness behind the eyes. Moana reached out and placed the heart into Te Kā's chest. The glow from the heart slowly began to spread across the monster's body. Moana watched as the face of the lava monster transformed. Now that the goddess's heart was restored, she was changing back to her true self. A crown of flowers blossomed around Te Whiti's head, and she took her place in the water. Her island exploded with green and came back to life at last. Maui was amazed at Moana's bravery and so proud of his new friend. Te Whiti had forgiven Maui for taking her heart and even fixed his fishhook for him. Back on their boat, Maui and Moana prepared to go their separate ways. The new friends hugged before Maui shapeshifted into a hawk and flew away. But this wasn't goodbye. Moana knew Maui would be there whenever she needed him. Back on Motunui, Moana's parents had been desperately worried about their missing daughter. They were overjoyed when she appeared on the horizon in her little boat. Later that day, with a shell in her hand, Moana headed up the tallest mountain to the pile of rocks her father had once shown her, and proudly added her shell to the top. Moana finally knew who she was, the next great ocean explorer, destined to lead her people on amazing adventures. And there she is. Off she goes. And that's the end of the wonderful story of Moana. You have a great week.